Okay, let's see. Is the audio working? We're checking to see if the audio is working. Okay. So if you're here, just maybe comment on YouTube um, to let me know, and I'll begin. Okay, this is going to be a quick video. I'm kind of experimenting here with live stream and going to talk about how we can use the MCP protocol to really make a difference if you're trying to do real work with AI. Can you, can you still see it? Okay. Right. Okay. Is it still working? Should I start? Okay. Can you please leave a comment on YouTube so I know the comments are working, if you can? Thank you. Okay. So I think I'm going to start. Um, okay. In this live stream, it's a little experimental, so please bear with me as I kind of go through this. But the idea here is I want to talk about how you can use AI for real work. So right now, and let me start with the problem first. You know, what is the problem right now? The problem is that you can get really impressive results with AI if you're using your ChatGPT or Claude Code. But if you want to do real work, stuff that you have an expertise in, stuff that you have spent years developing, building, and owning, how do you give the agent all that context? How do you give the agent the stuff you know, so it executes on the stuff that people will pay for. Because the problem is, if what you produce, if you just prompt Claude.ai or ChatGPT or Cloud Code, then your customers can do that too, right? So the difference, the thing that makes it different, the thing that actually has the value is your knowledge and your experience, distilled into your expertise. So right now, the best way we have of giving AI agents that expertise is um, is basically putting a very detailed prompt, or like a skills.md, basically a bunch of markdown files, and hoping that the agent follows your direction. And it doesn't really work well. Once you start putting markdown files that start getting larger, the tool calling doesn't work that well. The agent gets confused. It doesn't really follow your pathway, and that's not surprising. I mean, let's say you're working with somebody, and you're training them, right? You have a junior coworker, and the way you train them is you sit them down and give them a 2-hour lecture on your entire brain dump, and then expect them to carry out the project that you want uh, uh, them to follow. So I think that's the problem right now. So the way that we solve that problem is to creating these expertise. So anybody can create an account here on MCP for X. There's a bunch of sample expertises here for you to get started from different domains: consulting, development, um, and legal. There's different examples. I'm going to pick one just to kind of show you how it works. And here's one example. So this is a healthcare M&A process, which tends to be super complicated, and it's very difficult to get all of this in sort of like a markdown document. I mean, that's going to be very hard. So, for example, here's a node that has 1,500 characters just by itself. There's another one with almost 3,000, another 3,000, and so forth. So there's a lot of context here. And once you kind of have an account, you can have these sample prompts here as well. So this is how you use it. You go to the how-to button. You can copy one of these, and I'll show you how it works. You can go in here, start a new chat. I'll paste it in. So here's an idea. Let's say I get an email with some kind of deal particulars. Let's say I'm an M&A person, and then all I need to see, this is my entire prompt now. Screen this M&A deal using my healthcare M&A screen, deal screening expertise. So it's a pretty simple prompt. And then I just dump in the contents of that email or a PowerPoint or whatever it was, press enter. And the big difference here is that anybody can do this. So if they have access to that email or that pitch deck, they can throw it into ChatGPT or Claude Code or whatever and have it analyze it. But nobody can do it according to your expertise, your secret sauce, your knowledge, stuff that you have earned through years of experience. That is what, let's say, if you've encoded all that here in this chart here, the way that you do things, now you can just with a simple prompt execute on that and get an answer. So that's the power of something like MCP for X. This process uh, with the MCP protocol, that you can run that through a very detailed expertise and push it through your decision making process and get a response. And you can run it as many times as you like. If you're part of a team, you can collaborate on that expertise together, make it better, and then each team member has instantly has access to the latest and greatest updated expertise that they can run on their workflows. So as you can imagine, this can be a very powerful uh, approach. And also the other thing that's important is that this is a single point um, connection to any agent that you want. So right now, the problem with um, these skills is, for example, agent skills.md if you're using Codex, or skills.md if you're using Claude Code. For everything you have to do, you put in a skills document. Like if you're doing web development, then there's a different skill you have to install, then a different one for something else. And none of them are as complex as what I'm showing you here on screen, like, right? But even for simpler ones, there's like it's a zoo of skills that you have to install, and then you hope that the agent knows which one to call. So here we are taking hope out of the equation. We are saying, no, it's a single MCP connection. So this is how you connect it. You go to the connect page and you can connect any of your AI agents with just that single point connection. And then all you tell your agent is run this expertise, give it the context that you want and say, oh, I want to route a, a pull request. Then you just kind of go in and you can just say, hey, run this expertise, and you can give it the expertise code. It has built-in search. So you can say, run my PR review routing expertise. You can just say that and it'll run that. The idea here is that this can be a place where, let's say you do legal work or M&A work, you're also doing web development, you're doing a bunch of different things. All your expertise are here. And let's say I want to switch now to a pull request. And let's say I'll use a prompt here. Obviously in your case, you'll use your own, prompt, your own context, but this is just a sample to kind of show you how it works. So here's this: review this pull request using my PR review routing expertise. That's it. That's the entire request. And then I kind of throw in the pull request after that. And here it's going to start. And this is Claude.ai. This is not even Claude code. So you can kind of link MCP to Claude.ai. And now it's running your expertise, your process, your decision-making flow. And it's kind of giving you a response based on that. Versus the other way to do it would be to just kind of take your pull request and throw it into Claude.ai. But then it's just doing what Claude AI, whatever Claude wants, right? So it's not using your process. It's not routing it based on the way that you like to do things. This is a way to put in your process. The things that you want it to do at every step. You can give it your notes basically. So this just makes it super powerful uh, um, to do and execute. And yeah, there's a little bit of learning curve involved because you kind of need to know how to set up your expertises or how to encode them. But that is also the most valuable part. So I kind of keep coming back to that. Like where is the moat? What is the most valuable part in this AI future? It is not the models. It is not the harness. It is not how well you can use the models, even. It is not how well you use AI or how much you know about AI and models and oh, how do do you know how neural networks works? Who cares? That is not the most valuable part. People do not pay, unless you're, selling courses and stuff. The people are not going to pay you for that. If you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, if you're some kind of professional, if you're a consultant, people pay for your expertise and your experience, stuff that you've earned through years of work. That is the value. And if the value, and right now it seems like the whole industry is trying to sell this idea that the value is in the model. Like, can you use the most expensive and the best model? That is where the value is. And then you can sell that to your customers. That makes no sense because the customers can have access to the same thing. Where is the differentiation? What I'm saying is that you are the differentiation, the human is. And so hopefully this was kind of a quick review of how you can use MCP for X in some of this uh, logic and these flows, and how to connect them to your agents to 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 run some analysis. I think I'm going to close this live stream at this point. and I will do another one in the future. Thank you for watching.